Hi everybody, I thought I'd put together a new ZBrush tutorial and show everyone how to make new custom alphas and capture them using ZBrush, and then you can plug them back in through the alpha palette here and create new custom shapes and patterns based on your custom alpha. Uh, as you can see, there are a selection of default alphas that come with ZBrush. Some of these are really useful. Alpha 60 here can be useful sometimes, especially if you use the scatter brush setting. Maybe one or two others, but the rest of these I largely just ignore. Sometimes a brush in ZBrush will automatically load one of these. Like if you go to your clay buildup brush, here we are, clay buildup, it loads the square here. It works really well. This square shape works really well with the clay buildup. As simple as it is, it gets the job done. Anyway, so let's start here. First thing you should do is come over here to Subtools, and let's append using the append button here. We're going to go to Plane 3D, and that adds it underneath here. Select it to make it the active subtool, and we can solo it if you're feeling lazy, or for the sake of the tutorial, we'll come up here and we'll delete the sphere out. Select it, hit delete, hit OK. Pretty straightforward. Now we're back on the only remaining subtool, which is our plane. If you want, you can go to rename, just call it plane. The next thing you need to do is come over to the document tab. We are going to change the resolution of our canvas. So let's make let's make a 2K canvas, 2048. You have to disable this Pro Constrain Proportions button. That way we can get a square shape. 2048 by 2048. You're going to hit Resize. Say yes. So now you have this distorted plane on your canvas. Now remember, there is a difference between the canvas image and the 3D subtool. The subtool is really your model. So we're going to zoom the image controls out. And you can see, you can barely see. What we're going to do is hit Control N to clear out the canvas, and then we're going to drag, make sure your draw is active. It should be. Click and drag, and then we're going to hit T, or you can press Edit Object up here. And now we're in sculpting and working mode. Press F to frame your plane. So if it's really zoomed out, F, hold Shift, and right mouse button click. So Shift, right mouse button click, it locks it to the front orthogonal view. Press F, and now you can see our square canvas is now perfectly aligned with our square plane. Press Shift F, and that way we can see our geometry. Now it looks kind of funny right now, right? That doesn't look proper. The reason is because we're actually not zoomed in at a one-to-one level. So if we zoom, you can see it's almost like an image is being zoomed into. As we zoom out, it pixelates because it's really just an image. The viewport is somehow behind the scenes, it renders an image, which is somehow tied into how ZBrush is so optimized. So what we want to do is we want to subdivide. We're going to zoom out a little bit so we can see our entire canvas. We're going to come down here on the right side. We're going to open geometry, and now we're going to subdivide. Very important, turn off the SMT. That's your smooth button. When this is active, which is on by default, every time you hit divide to subdivide your model, it's going to smooth everything dynamically. So if we were to go ahead and subdivide this, you can see what happens. It rounds our corners. We don't want that. Press undo, turn off smooth, press divide, press divide, press divide. I usually do this until we get 16 million points, I think it is. You could stop at 4. 4 is probably good enough. That's a nice in-between level. Most computers can handle up to one more subdivision, so you can get up to 16 million. You get pretty good resolution at that point. So at this point, we are ready to sculpt on this plane. Let's just say, I'm going to make something. You can see how fine the detail is. So you don't necessarily want to sculpt at the highest subdivision level every time. You may want to come down to like level 3, level 4, and you'll sculpt at a lower resolution, which gives you a more generalized sculpt. And it's easier to control this, by the way. When you hold Shift to smooth this, you get a much nicer response than if you were on subdivision 7 and attempted to smooth. Just the way that the algorithm works and the way that the dynamics of subdivision function, you're going to get a smooth, but it's at a much finer level than you would get at a more generalized level like this, where the polygons are much larger. Just a tip that carries over into everything you do in ZBrush. So just for the sake of demonstration, let's say we wanted some kind of little indentations. Let's say there's some need for this. Could be a number of different things. So we can come in here and we can do something like this, really sketchy for the sake of the demonstration. Let's say that you just spent a whole hour sculpting a really fancy, pretty looking alpha that looks super dope. All right, let's pretend that's what I have. So at this point, it doesn't matter which material you're on. Sometimes things look quite a bit different when you switch between one of these. We'll keep it on red just for simplicity. So now, here's the magic. So you can be at any subdivision level. Let's say we edited at 4. We sculpted at 4. So now you can come over here. Let's switch to our standard brush. I like to be on standard when I capture the canvas. You can see by default there's nothing here in the alpha. So open up the alpha menu and hit this grab dock button. And check this out. You get a displacement map instantaneously. It's a height map, 16-bit, and it's basically ready for you to use it. You typically want to select drag rectangle, and then if you come in here on your canvas, you can drag it out. And now you get that same pattern instantaneously. Couple things to bear in mind. There is a menu that goes along with alpha. It's right here. So you want to look on, I have a custom interface. You want to open up your alpha palette, which is by default up here, top left. You may want to dock it, click it, drag this little dot over to your left, and then it shows up here. Open this modify dropdown, and you can change some of the behaviors of your alpha. So you can see right now, there's like a roundedness happening every time I drag out a new one. If I turn up my intensity, you can see how there's some kind of round effect happening. That's no good. That's partially because that's how the standard brush functions. There are ways to fix that. The easiest, you hit this surface button, and that does its best. You can see this mid value change from 0 to 62. It's trying to find the mid-level of this texture, this new alpha that it captured, which is essentially going to be the value of the gray and that sort of outer region. It's trying to find the middle level so that it knows how to treat the different height levels. So now when you drag out a new one, you get some positive displacement and some negative displacement. And that's what that value is, the middle value is deciding. And so you can change your intensity and then populate the rest of your plane. And you can just keep at this. Now, once you have an alpha that you're happy with, you want to hang on to it for future use, you can come up to the alpha palette here, click it, and then you can export. Just hit export, find some folder you like, save it out. You do typically want to save it as one of these file names, file types here. I pretty much always use .psd for compatibility purposes. ZBrush isn't actually all that friendly with many image types when it comes to alpha, so just use PSD. You can also tie the alpha creation process together with using layers here, and also the morph target system. These three things were designed to work together, and once you figure that out, it really unlocks a whole new world of possibilities for your portfolio, not just ZBrush, but for your portfolio as well. There's just so many cool things you can do. I will create another one of these videos